I'm storyteller and author Pleasant DeSpain, and you have a wonderful imagination. Welcome to Pleasant Journeys. My story for today is called The Mountain Man and the Grizzlies. It's from my collection called Sweet Land of Story 36, American Tales to Tell. It's about Kit Carson, a rather famous American frontiersman who was born in Kentucky in 1809, but found his way to the Colorado mountains as a young man, and he created his destiny there. He became well known as a very good shot, a skilled hunter. He was a fur trapper. He was a guide. He even became part of the U.S. military later in life. One day, in the late fall, he was out hunting for elk. He had a camp of people that he was guiding, and they needed food. Now he spotted a big elk across the meadow from where he stood, took one shot, and brought that elk down. He went over to it, and just before he pulled out his Bowie knife, he heard behind him a growl. He looked, and not only was it one grizzly bear, it were two bears, and they started lumbering after him. It was late in the fall, and they were fat because the hibernation was coming soon. He dropped his rifle. He ran as fast as he could to the tallest pine tree he could see. He jumped onto the tree, and he started climbing up. The only problem was grizzly bears climb trees. Kit used his Bowie knife. He cut off a branch. He had a sharp end now as a poke stick. And as he climbed higher and higher, the she-bear jumped onto the tree, and she started climbing up right after him. He used that poke stick once, twice, three times into her nose, and she yowled in pain and then shuffled back down to the ground. The he-bear, it was his turn to climb. And he was so strong, he climbed even faster and got right up to Kit's boot heel. And Kit used that post stick once, twice, three, four times. The bear yowled in pain and anger and moved on back down to the ground. Oh, those bears were angry. They started circling the tree around and around. Kit climbed as high as he could up into the branches. He held on with his legs, with his arms, with his hands, and he said a prayer or two, I am sure. He noticed a signal seemed to pass between the bears when they stopped circling, and the she-bear raised up on her hind legs and with her massive paws began to push on the tree. Once, twice, three times, and the tree began to waver just a bit. Oh, those roots were in rocky soil, and Kit didn't know if the tree would hold. Suddenly the he-bear, he rose up on his legs. He pushed from the other side. Now they had it moving back and forth, forth and back. But the tree, it held. And finally the bears, they gave up. Kit was not going to be their meal this day. But they did work together, and they dragged that dead elk further deeper into the woods. And they were gone. But Kit, he was patient. He waited an entire hour before he took the chance. He scurried down out of the tree. He picked up his rifle, and he ran as fast as he could all the way back to the camp. Now, I found this story in an unusual way. I had been invited by the Helene Wurlitzer Arts Foundation to come to Taos, New Mexico, and spend a month working on my American collection, which I was just finishing up. I stayed in a small adobe house and I worked diligently day to day, but of course I took breaks, and in the afternoon I would often just take a long walk. And one day I came to a small road, and there was a big old adobe house with a small sign that said, "The Kit Carson Museum." Well, I had to go in. I met the proprietor. He was a very nice man. And we had a conversation. When he understood what I was about, he said, "Oh, well, you have to read Kit's diary. It's right here in this glass case. Now, I can't take it out under the glass, but I have a Xerox copy. And there's a story you should read." And he pointed to the pages, and I just read the story that you just heard. Well, I had to make room for it in my book, of course. I hope you liked this story. And if you would be so kind as to give a like to this channel, perhaps subscribe, really help us grow. We're a young channel. And if you make a comment, I'll do my best to respond to you. Down below is my website, and in my website, all of my books are listed with a direct link to Amazon.com. There are so many stories yet to tell. Another story to tell next week.